So, OpenAI just dropped GPT 5.4. And honestly, the big question on everyone's mind is this: do we officially have a new best AI model on the planet? Okay, we've got to dive into this because from what I've seen, it is seriously impressive.
Look, this is not just some small incremental update. GPT 5.4 is built from the ground up for real-world knowledge work and these complex, agentic tasks, which basically means it can act on its own to get multi-step jobs done. It feels a lot like what Anthropic did with their latest Opus model, and it really signals a huge shift in the industry. This could be a genuine game changer. So, to really get why GPT 5.4 is such a big deal, we have to look at the problem it was actually designed to solve. And it's all about one word: unification. See, up until now, if you were in the OpenAI ecosystem, you had to make a choice. For things like creative writing or getting a model with some personality, you'd use GPT 5.2. But for raw coding power, you had to completely switch gears to a different model, GPT 5.3 Codex. This was kind of a drawback, especially when competitors like Anthropic were already combining these skills into one package with Opus. And this, right here, is the brilliant solution. GPT 5.4 merges those two specialized paths into one single unified model. It's designed to be OpenAI's new flagship, basically an everything model that can handle your coding, your creativity, and all that agentic work, all at once.
All right, so talk is one thing, but what is this new model actually capable of? Let's get into the specifics, because the demos, that's where things get really, really exciting. Now, what's so cool here is the combination of skills. We're talking industry-leading coding, advanced agent workflows, and a serious knack for knowledge work, spreadsheets, presentations, that kind of stuff. It can literally operate software right on your computer. And, this is huge, it now matches its rivals with a massive 1 million token context window. To put that in perspective, that's like it being able to read and remember a very, very long novel in one single go. And this is one of the best new features, for sure: the Upfront plan. Before it just dives into some complex project, the model can now show you its step-by-step plan. This is fantastic. Why? Because you can guide it, you can correct its course before it even starts, and you can save a ton of money by not wasting processing power or tokens on a bad idea. And these demos are just wild. Check this out: a fully functional theme park simulation game. Complete with asset creation, fund management, guest happiness ratings, all of it, built from a single, pretty simple prompt. The model just figured out all the complex logic by itself. But it didn't stop there. It also built a classic 90s-style RPG, it performed bulk data entry in real time, and it seamlessly operated a user's Gmail, creating calendar invites, labeling emails. The sheer versatility is just off the charts. Now, seeing what tools like GPT 5.4 can build is incredible, and it just shows how fast this whole space is moving. If you want to get hands-on and really master this level of technology with a group of like-minded professionals, this is a great time to join our online learning community. We offer both one-on-one and group instruction to help you become highly skilled in the latest AI. You can find all the details to join in the description below. Okay, impressive demos are great, but how does GPT 5.4 actually stack up against the competition when you look at the hard numbers? Let's get into the benchmarks. First up, we've got the OSWorld benchmark. This tests how well an AI can actually operate a computer, doing things like file management and using different apps. And as you can see, the new GPT 5.4 model just edges out its coding specialist predecessor and pulls slightly ahead of Anthropic's powerful Opus 4.6. It's a small lead, for sure, but in the race for the top spot, every little bit counts. And here's where it gets really interesting. On Swebench Pro, which measures professional-grade coding ability, the new unified model is actually better than the specialized coding model it's replacing. That's a huge deal. It means you're not sacrificing any coding power to get that extra creativity. And it also comfortably beats out Google's Gemini 3.1 Pro. Now, let's look at knowledge work. These are the tasks that really move the needle in a business, like analyzing data or building reports. On this benchmark, GPT 5.4 takes a massive leap over its coding-focused predecessor and establishes a really solid lead over its main competitor, Opus 4.6. This is a big step forward for real-world productivity. So here's the crucial point. It's not just about being more accurate, it's about being more efficient. As you can see, GPT 5.4 hits 75% accuracy with just 15 steps, or tool calls, which are the individual actions it takes.
Now compare that to the old GPT 5.2, which needed 42 steps just to get to 50% accuracy. Fewer steps means faster results, and ultimately, it costs you less. Okay, so you get all this new power, but what's the catch? Let's talk about the practical side of things. What's it going to cost, and how do you actually use it? And here it is. This new frontier of AI intelligence is actually getting more expensive, not less. If we look at the cost per million tokens, those are the units of data it processes, the input price for the standard model is jumping from $175 to $2.50. And for the Pro model, that's a big jump, from $21 to $30. So the power is definitely increasing, but so is the price tag. And one more really critical thing to know, you can't just use your old prompts. The prompting techniques that worked for Claude or even older GPT models, they're not going to get you the best results here. OpenAI has released a brand new prompting guide, and if you really want to unlock the full power of GPT 5.4, you absolutely need to update your workflows. All right, so the model is now in the hands of early testers, and the feedback is starting to roll in. Let's take a look at the initial reactions, both the good and the areas that still need a little bit of work. And wow, the initial take from one early user is incredibly strong. The best model on the planet by far. They also mention that the standard thinking model is so powerful, it's often more than enough for professional use cases that used to require a pro model. And the praise just keeps coming. Its coding abilities have been called ridiculously good and insanely reliable. Testers said it could one-shot complex tasks that older models really struggled with. And on top of all that power, users are finding it's just more pleasant to work with, and it writes better, clearer documentation. But it's not perfect, not yet. Early feedback also points out some limitations. Its taste in front-end web design isn't quite on par with its competitors. It could also miss obvious real-world context, like, planning a trip without realizing it's right in the middle of spring break. And sometimes, in those multi-step workflows, it tends to stop just short of finishing the task. The good news is OpenAI already knows about these things and said fixes are on the way. Staying on top of these rapid changes and learning to work around these exact kinds of limitations is a huge challenge, but you know what? It's also a massive opportunity. And that's really what our community is all about, coming together to learn and master these tools so we can all become more successful. If that sounds like your kind of thing, check out the description for all the details on how to join. Which brings us to a final, pretty thought-provoking question. With these powerful do-it-all models like GPT 5.4 and Opus 4.6 unifying skills at this incredible pace, are we already seeing the end of the era of specialized AI models? And if so, what does that mean for developers who won't need to juggle different tools, or for businesses that can now rely on a single, powerful model for almost everything? The whole landscape is changing, and it's changing fast.